Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, episode 27 of Bracket Bubbles and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you?
First time in this series that we've recorded multiple pods on the same day, and you've asked me in the second pod how I'm doing.
Is it?
At least from my knowledge, my recollection.
All right, Kevin Fielder is here with us because we are previewing the FAU Owls, who probably are the most obscure program to get 3 previews in a row.
I can't wait till we do this for like 10 years straight. And by the 10th year, they're like winning a national championship.
Either they're winning a national championship or they're like the 7th best team in the American every year.
Whoops. Welcome to another FAU preview after they go 500.
But we do have to do this every single year because we are contractually obligated. We do not sign contracts for anybody except ourselves. But we want to talk about the Owls. We want to talk about this interesting team in John Jacobs' second season. Kevin, how would you characterize his first year?
Up and down, inconsistent, I think is like probably the best word to explain it, because there were certainly moments where you thought that this was a team that could make a run late and potentially steal a bid in, the American tournament, or just like make the tournament in some format. And then it was just too inconsistent. And I think a lot of that was that John Jacobs was sort of playing from behind the minute he got the job, because his initial goal was to try and convince John L. Davis, Elijah Martin, Nick Boyd, Giancarlo Rosado, some of them to stay at FAU. And of course, none of them stayed. Elijah Martin famously left to go win a national championship. And so when you're playing from behind like that, I think it's just so difficult to build a coherent roster that can consistently compete in the American. And they sort of certainly felt that once the end of the season came, because I mean, you just didn't know what the rotation looked like on any given night. And when you knew what the rotation looked like, you didn't know if it was ever going to be good enough to win a game. And I think the hope is that it's not that this year, and that you have a little bit more consistency.
Do you think that spending all that time to bring those guys back was a mistake?
Hindsight, yes. But like at the time, you thought that there was a chance that some of them would stay. You thought that there was a chance that, like, I thought naturally they'd be able to land 2 of them still. I thought like John L. Davis, Elijah Martin, Vlad Golden were certainly going to go to high major programs. But I felt like Nick Boyd, you had a decent chance of keeping. Giancarlo Rosado, I thought you had a good chance of keeping. You just didn't get to keep either of them. And that's certainly unfortunate, but I don't think it was the wrong decision to try and keep them. I just think you just got unlucky. And at that point, a lot of the guys that you wanted out of the portal were already taken.
All right, let's talk backcourt. Let's talk Nico Moretti, heading into his second year in the program, third year in college basketball. Transferred from Illinois, had some ups and downs in his first season at FAU, kind of as like a secondary ball handler coming off the bench behind Leland Walker and Kiki Tandy in that backcourt. Now this is basically his backcourt along with Kane and Carlisle. What steps do we need to see from Moretti in year 2?
I think the biggest thing is you need to see him become a little bit more consistent of a playmaker. There were certainly flashes last year where he looked like a high-level college playmaker, but it wasn't consistent. But if you can find that consistency, if you can put that consistency in there with some of his penetration ability, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to conduct the offense at a high level, like I think that was the biggest thing last year's team was missing, was they just didn't have a guy who was like going to lead the team out there every night and get you 6-7 assists. Nico Moretti has the potential to be that. And so if you can just get a little bit more consistency with his playmaking, with his vision, he's got the offensive skill set to be that kind of guy. And I think that there's good reason why FAU is excited to keep him out of the portal, because there's a lot of potential that guy is a, maybe not an all conference guard, but a really high level guard in the American.
Jonathan, anything on Moretti?
Yeah, I echo what Kevin said. Up and down year. I think him becoming, a true lead guard for this team is really important, because I think this team is much more structured to not have, the individual scorers that some of them last year. I think they're more defense slanted than they were a year ago, which is good because their defense was not good last year. So I think if Moretti takes a jump, I think that's going to benefit a lot of different guys in this roster. Carlisle, coming from Indiana, was obviously good at his stop before Indiana and then didn't play in a great system. And then I think it benefits Isaiah Elohim too, who I actually liked in high school, but definitely a player offensively that I think still has some development to go. And playing with a true point guard like Moretti probably helps him.
I think this is a pretty good stop for Kanan Carlisle. Obviously was pretty solid at Stanford, but people forget the efficiency was terrible at Stanford. He was like 40-something% at the rim. Just take it down a notch. It was pretty clear that the Big Ten was a level too high for him. Just get him in the American as a guy who's as athletic, off of like explosion with his first step, the ability to create off of the dribble. I think he's up there as one of the best in this conference. I mean, his first year at Stanford, he took 101 jump shots off the dribble, and it's not because he really truly like was the only option there. I mean, he was one of, but it's because he is really capable of getting to his spots off of the bounce. This 3-point shooting wasn't there off the bounce that year, but it was there off the catch, which makes me think there is 3-point shooting upside with Kanan Carlisle if you kind of give him some agency. The free throw shooting was terrible last year. The free throw shooting was not terrible in his first year. I like Carlisle as a really solid bounce back candidate in a lower league. For FAU, was a very highly touted recruit. Got to the line a whole bunch his freshman year. Low offensive rating, but got even lower last year. I think it can go definitely as high as possible this year.
Yeah, I think for a guy like Carlisle, it's just finding a comfortable home for him, because it's so weird when you have a guy like that who didn't play a lot or didn't play consistently at Indiana, and now you're looking for that place where you can sort of play a little bit more consistently. And I think, Sam, I sort of echo your point, right? Like, this is going to be the perfect home for him because he gets to likely get to be an everyday player. He gets to take those shots. He gets to live with some of the bad shots that, Indiana fans are going to casterize him for because they're Indiana fans. But, FAU fans are not going to be to that same level, right? And, I'm sure the FAU fans will hear that part and want me gone. But, that's just the truth, is that, they're not going to be as passionate about very little minute things. And so it should be a better fit just confidence-wise to not have to be in that situation consistently.
And I think the free-flowing, fast-paced nature that Jacobs wants to play is always good for a guard like Carlisle.
Yeah. I mean, I think for him, it's you get to take those shots, like you said, right? There's probably 3-point shooting upside. He can get to the free throw line. There's upside as a scorer in the American. And so, it's
a very low stakes, you miss a shot, okay, you're going to be coming right back up the court.
Yeah, keep shooting it. They want you to keep shooting it. And so, if I had to make the prediction like I do every year, where I seemingly try and call one player an all-conference player by the end of the year, wouldn't shock me if it's Carlisle. Because, there's a possibility where everything gets better because of the offense, because of the confidence, because of the comfortability. And it's a complete, there's so much talent there. He just needs to find a way to put it all together.
Jonathan, on Carlisle.
Yeah, I think you guys said it. His strength is getting downhill and getting to the mid range, getting to his outside shooting. I think in a program like Indiana that was playing two bigs and both of them were back to the basket post guys, that's probably not a great fit for him. I think with better spacing, more athletes on the perimeter. And like I said, a true point guard, I think that's going to be really good for his career, as well as going down a level. The efficiency has always been a problem with him. And going down to the American from, the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, I expect it to improve.
I missed the Pac-12.
I'm with you on that. Let's talk a little about Isaiah Elohim. Jonathan, you said you were high on him. Tell me why.
Yeah, I just thought he was kind of, Sam, we talk about this all the time, balancing, how good can this guy be as a true offensive slanted player, like first or second option, and then there are those guys that can't be like a good role player. Like they have to be a first or second option in order to be effective. And Elohim, I thought, was a guy that he played at a high school that obviously had good players at Sierra Canyon, and I thought that his role at Sierra Canyon was very slanted towards being this connective defensive piece, and can play out of the dunker spot. And he's not going to do a ton with the ball in his hands, but not every team needs 5 guys that can play with the ball in his hands. And so I think for this team, you have a guy like Carlisle who's going to have the ball in his hands. You have a guy like Moretti who's going to play with the ball in his hands. I think Elohim knows how to play a role where he can be super effective not having the ball in his hands.
I'm with you on that. I think Elohim is the type of guy that will benefit from another guy who can take a step up in a new system, in this type of system, kind of a free-flowing. Feels similar to what Sierra Canyon wanted to do, where they wanted to get up and down. Yeah. And I think this, just getting guys that like to go up and down, like guys that have been that kind of are more free-flowing type players in a free-flowing system. I think that's key for FAU, and I think they did a good job of that. Although they did bring in Maxime Logue, who did not play in a super fast-paced system last year.
Look, Sam, I'm willing to look past anything Oregon State did on the basketball court last year.
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought they were not bad last year.
Sam was a total Oregon State believer last year.
I thought they played at points, and if there is an Oregon State fan listening to this, please don't take this the wrong way. I thought they played some of the least aesthetically pleasing basketball.
Oh, no, it was not aesthetically pleasing.
344.
It was just throwing it into Parsifala and figuring it out.
There might have been a game where I fell asleep last year trying to watch them push the ball up the court with any sort of pace.
But they had a good roster.
They certainly had talent, and they made the most prestigious tournament of all time. Shout out the Crown.
The Crown.
We all love the Crown. I was watching the Crown more than I was watching.
All hail the Crown. All hail the Crown.
But on Elohim, look, man, he showed he can be a high-level player in high school. How often we forget that when these guys enter the portal after a year because they didn't play a lot at their first school.
I'm going to argue that we don't forget that, because all I ever see is former 5-stars entered the portal.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Fair enough. But also, I remember there was a game where they played Columbus with the Boozer twins, who, for my money, the good Boozer twin, who I always mix up with the not as good Boozer twin.
Well, they're both really good. Cam is
the
yes
one that's
so for my money, Cam should be the number 1 pick in next year's NBA draft.
Yes.
But he played those 2 guys and looked really good against them, right? He looked like a competent basketball player against them. And I think the biggest thing was, like Jonathan mentioned, right? He was not the lead ball handler. He was not the point guard. He did not have the super high usage rate. He was able to play sort of in those areas where he can shine. And it's his defense, it's his mid-range game, it's his ability to play low and be physical. For all intents and purposes, that's exactly what FAU probably needs. Is they need more guys who could just do that, because last year they had so many guys who could play on ball. And then on the topic of Maxime Logue, I love that guy. You cannot disrespect that guy in front of me. I love that guy.
I didn't disrespect him.
You disrespected him too much for me, Sam.
When did I disrespect him?
I don't know.
What did I say?
The guy that I wrote about.
Defending Oregon State.
Logue's the guy that I wrote about the other day when I wrote my blurb for FAU in the top 100. I don't understand, unless there was an injury that I was unaware of, I don't understand why Oregon State didn't play him more last year, because their defense was awful, and he is like a wingspan.
Their offensive plan was throw the ball into Parsifala, and I'm not sure how much you can play Logan Fala together.
That's fair. I mean, probably not a good offensive game plan.
Fala was playing what, 60% of your minutes? Throw Logue out there for 40.
I think it's really telling that the game where they did effectively throw him out there for 40 minutes, he was like their best player on the floor. It was the UCF game where everyone was like, wow, this guy's really good. Why did he play all season?
Yeah, I'm super excited for him.
Yeah. Jonathan, you told me that he's the most what did you say about him the other day?
Did I say something specific? I just think like he can, his upside could really swing their season.
Can I call him the
Yeah.
Baba Miller regen for the entire episode?
Dude, I'm done with Baba Miller.
Hey, I'm like semi in on Baba Miller.
Dude, this would be like my 4th straight year of being in on Baba.
I can't quit him. I can't quit him.
Did you see Baba Miller's on-off splits?
No, I don't want to look at them because they may hurt me later.
They are very, very good.
The gang loves Baba Miller. The gang is me.
Where is he at now, Sam?
Florida State.
Cincinnati.
No, wait, Cincinnati.
Baba
Right.
Miller is definitely not at Florida State.
I said Florida State. That's where he used to be.
Yes, he was once at Florida State, but
Yeah, that's on me.
He
I
is
love
at.
Baba Miller.
I'm like low key in on that Cincinnati.
Oh,
front court.
he's at Cincinnati.
Yeah, like that. I said Florida State because I am completely off my.
That's a good fit for them. And nobody has to play offense in that system.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jizzle James will take 80 shots a game. They're good.
No, the front court's good. The back court's terrible.
No. He means like they're good. Like they're good. They got all the shots they need.
There's only so many shots to go around.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think outside of Logue, I think the question that I have with this team the most is the bench. Because like, you have international kids. Langenfeld really didn't play last year, but I kind of like him off the bench as a guy that can knock down shots.
There's upside for him.
Sissoko is a very interesting player to me. Very good positional size. I don't really think he's a point guard, but this is a guy that like I think can come off the bench and be a spark plug scorer for you as a freshman.
Yeah, there is a giant question mark outside of like 3 or 4 guys. And there's arguably no better place to start than former UCLA wing Devin Williams, who is not the New York Yankees closer, contrary to popular belief.
He's also not the New York Yankees closer in general because they now have David Bednar.
Right, sorry. The New York Yankees setup, man, does not sound as cool. But also, like another former
high
recruit,
ERA is over 5, so
the former Williams, the basketball player, is a former high recruit. Just didn't play a lot at UCLA, but there's size, there's athleticism, there's ability, there's reason to think he might find it. Is another question mark in and of itself. Jacobs has had success with European guys. Of course, last year they had the ACC Freshman of the Year, who went to Texas, whose name is, I'm just going to butcher it, so I probably just won't pronounce
Matas, like Volkatitis.
Matas Vokatitis.
Matas Vokatitis.
Again, really good player that they found, was able to be a starter for them and a solid player. And so, like, Johan Sissoko, I think, has all the makings of a guy who can start and contribute immediately for this team off the bench. They're really excited about true freshman Josiah Parker, who played in Overtime Elite last year and had some really good games in that league, in that system, whatever they call it. What do you call that? Like, what the thing, the entity?
The content creation class.
The TikTok league.
The TikTok conglomerate.
Like, I think that, like, he's talented. He has good size. Another guy who could sort of maybe be a mid-level scorer for them off the bench. And then after that, you have, like, Devin Vanterpool, who's a good defender. You have Langenfield, who didn't play a lot last year. You have Amar Amku, who didn't play last year and redshirted, but he's 6'7", might be something. And then you have Vincent Neugbauer, who I definitely butchered that last name, but he's 7 feet tall and can be a paint protector, right? Like rim protector.
We do not have proof that he exists to this point.
I found like 2 minutes of his film. So
one of the things about Jake's is
he's 23. Oh my god!
Yeah, he has 1 year left of eligibility. Let's be clear.
I think one of the things that you could bank on FAU on a year-to-year basis now is like there's always going to be 2 to 3 guys on the roster whose name you just absolutely cannot pronounce.
There's even one guy who most rosters don't include because it happened like 2 weeks ago in Xander Pitolin.
Yeah, he's not on the depth chart I'm looking at right now.
Who is another 6'10" player who I think is also like 23. So they just added like 2 23-year-old big men.
All right.
One of them has to be good, right?
I don't have anything else to add here. Kevin, what do you think would be considered a successful season for FAU?
Successful to the fans or successful to me? Because I think that's a different question in and of itself.
Kevin, I'm not asking you about the fan base. I'm asking you about the program.
To me, I think you have to be a top 3 team in the American this year. And you have to be a consistent top 3 team in the American.
What do the fans think?
The fans think you have to make the NCAA tournament.
Do the fans think you have to make the Final Four every year?
Yes. No, you have to win the national championship every year. But no,
it sucks because he never won a national championship.
But hey,
John Jacobs is a national champion. That means he's better than Dusty May.
Has never seen their team play in the Final Four on cable television.
Indiana fans are mad that you said that. I would just like to remind everyone that FAU has more Final Four appearances in the last 10 years than the Indiana Hoosiers. Feels like that's an important thing to mention.
Dude, they have. We're approaching.
Indiana hasn't been to the Final Four since 2002.
Dude, we're approaching to have more Final Four appearances in the last decade than Kentucky.
Hey! I didn't say it, but
we're getting there. I think like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Last 9 tournaments, more Final Four.
Is the argument that FAU is the real blue blood?
Totally not a
red.
Totally not blue.
Hey, you.
But to go back to expectations real quick to finish this off, right? They have to establish themselves as a consistent threat in the American. That's a no ifs, ands, or buts argument here. Anyone who's going to tell you that a successful season is making the NIT again and finishing 5th or 6th in the league, that's not a successful season. You brought in a head coach. You paid a head coach a lot of money comparatively to what you typically pay head coaches to coach your basketball team because you think he can lead you to that point. And I think he will get you there. I think they will be a very good team this year, but he has to do that this year. I think that is a non-negotiable, you have to be a top 3 team in this league. If you make the NCAA tournament as an at-large team or you win the conference, even better, right? Super successful season, but you have to be a top 3 team in the league. You have to at least be competitive with Memphis.
This conference is very open this year.
Well, I don't think
everyone knows
competitive with Memphis.
I think
not a real basketball team, Memphis.
We will definitely do a preview, or we will try to do a preview for another team in the state of Florida in this conference.
Oh, I was going to ask if you could get Will on to do the Memphis preview. I'm sure the fans would love that.
If we were going to do a Memphis preview, we would not do it with Will. Will has turned us down.
Really?
I think a year ago I asked him and he said no.
That might be better for public safety, to be honest.
All right, Jonathan, you want to take us home?
Yeah. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about red, blue, FAU, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 6, Episode 27 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers.
The fans love them.
Tip-Off Talk FAU edition. Thanks so much to Kevin for joining us, and we'll see you next time.